Yo, what's up guys? I have a completely different video. I've never done this type of repair before. This Century, this is a 21 Century, came in because the tank is bad. So they're gonna take out the tank. Unfortunately for these types of boats, and like many boats, maybe even your boat, you don't have access to the fuel tank, right? So this tank, there is zero access and the tank goes underneath the console. So in order to take the tank out, you would really have to take off the console, take off the T-top, and that's an entire job in itself. So this customer has decided to go with a smaller tank. So this is a 75-gallon tank. I think he's going with like a 40. And we're gonna do kind of like a partial deck replacement where we can slide the tank out here and rip it out this way and not have to take off the entire console and T-top and all that. I already removed the T-top, the leaning post over there, and I took a look at it and it seems like it could be done. So basically in here there's a bulkhead right there and the fuel tank is right behind it. We're going to remove that bulkhead as soon as we rip off this top deck plate. Before we do that though, we want to keep the non-skid as original as possible, and in order for us to do that, we're gonna have to take a mold of this entire area so we can put it back the way that it was. And that's what this video is gonna be about. It's gonna be the deck replacement and putting that non-skid back on. And I think I have a plan of how I'm gonna do that. But first, we're gonna clean up this area with some Clorox, some bleach, get it nice and clean, get rid of any imperfections, any impurities, and then we'll go step by step of how we're gonna take a mold out of this whole entire area. We're coming in with a Scotch-Brite pad and some Clorox bleach just to clean up the area, get any residue or anything like that off. Any of the silicone is still on there. We're gonna just clean up this area. We're gonna start with our mold process. All right, so we marked where the actual stringers meet the tank. So our cut line is gonna be right there on that line. And then what I've done now is I've taped off the outside part because we're going to take a mold of this whole area. There's different ways to do molds. I've already practiced with some of this mold release and with PVA, and you can only use PVA. I'm going to use both because I had really good results with how I did it the last time, and I know there's different ways to do it. So if you guys have a certain way, maybe you can share. But I'm going to put 2 coats of mold release, wipe that down, and then I'm going to do 2 coats of PVA over this entire thing. And then we're going to continue with our layup and stuff like that, and I'll show you how that goes. So I don't know if you can tell or not, but basically I'm coming in with this mold release and I'm just wiping over. Now look, this is not going to be perfect because we're taking a mold off of an imperfect area. And I tried to see if I can get another area that is better, but even up here it's all screwed up there too. So this is really all that I can do. This is what I got to work with. So it's going to be literally an exact replica with its imperfections. We're going to continue here. We're going to do we did our first layer, or our first coat. And basically what you want to do is we're going to pick up some of this wax in here and we're just going to roll it out this way, just like this. 2 coats of the mold release, and then we'll get some PVA on here. This is a mold release agent. I'm going to put it down so you guys can see. And basically we're just going to lay this on the deck. And we're just going to roll this out just like this. I'm also going over on the tape. I did the same thing with the wax. I went over with the wax as well. Alright, I got my PVA on there and I got some gel coat ready to go. This wind is picking up. I'm kind of fighting. The storm's coming. I'm looking at the radar and it doesn't look like it's coming. I want to lay down at least 2 layers of gel coat. I got my heat gun going so I can get that going and kicking off faster. I'm trying my best to get this thing fired up. We got a layer of matte down, the 2 layers of gel coat. This thing we just did it right now. It tacked off. So we're getting ready to pull this thing. Let's see how it does. So I don't think this is going to work out because I think we need a little bit more gel coat down, and that rain kind of screwed us up. we did get a mold. But there's a couple spots here where we gotta fill up. I mean, it is what it is. All right, so the mold didn't come out that great. A couple things I learned. I needed to put down a lot more gel coat than I did. At least 3 or 4 layers of gel coat. Then get the mat. The rain didn't help much either. But what I did find was that I can use one of the corners where the mold didn't get messed up, and I could just use it for the 4 corners. So I could use that one piece to kind of patch everything together. So yeah, the next step is we're going to cut this open. We're going to do that tomorrow because it's already getting late, and that'll be the next part of this project. All right, so we got it set at 30 degrees. We pulled that piece off of the deck. We have some wet wood over here, a little bit of wet wood over there, dry wood back here. I'm gonna obviously let the customer know, see what he wants to do. Now we're gonna take this bulkhead out so we can take the tank out. All right, so we're back on the Sentry, and we've done a couple of things. So we took out the fuel tank. Well, I didn't. The owner of the boat did. And we refilled with some foam here. And we used 1.5 inch PU foam, or 2-inch PU foam here to make this bulkhead. And we've laminated that over here. We've also gone ahead and where the original bulkhead was, that open stringer, we've laminated that. Close that off. And then lastly, I've added these supports here for the deck that's going to go in here, because I just found it to be a little bit too open of a space. So these things got tabbed in with some structural putty, and we're going to glue that in with structural putty to the actual deck, which is the honeycomb material Metacore. And then what I've done is I've come in and I've ground out the glass so we can lay some fresh. You know, I didn't film any of this stuff because it's not really, didn't film much of that. Took out some of that rotted wood that was on there that was wet, and we repacked that with some bonding putty, which is very strong, over there in the corner here, up there, all through here, and all this wood over here is dry. So we're gonna go ahead and do a dry fit and see how that fits. All right, so we have our dry fit. We gotta trim up because I did fill up some putty in the honeycomb, and I don't want to force it in there and stick it in there, so I'm gonna start shaving some of that down, see where we need to lay. That side went in good. We gotta shave some stuff off here. All right, we got a nice fit there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bond, put some putty on the cross members that I put up, and then we're gonna stick this to that. We're gonna let that cure for a bit, and then we'll laminate some layers over this. All right, we got that bedded in. Now I'm gonna come in with some of the structural putty. We use some structural putty to actually bed in the deck. So now I'm gonna come in with the putty and I'm gonna fill all the little gaps and then get this ready for lamination. Come in with some putty. We filled up all the gaps. Now we're gonna let this cure, and we'll come in with a layer of woven, and we should be good to go. All right, so I thought the camera was recording, it wasn't. So I put a layer down of woven, and now I'm gonna put a layer of 1708, and I'll record that one for sure. So apologize, but you guys will get to see this one.
Not my proudest because the damn sun got that little line of sun that came through. Made that cure so fast. I got a couple of little bubbles there, man. This shit pisses me off. You see that? It cures so fast. Like, this is not cured. But all this in the sun, just like that little sliver, man. That little sliver. It's not too bad. I gotta fur the edges anyway. You can use matte for that, but we're gonna fill that up with putty and just grind all that off. A couple little air bubbles here in the center. I'm working by myself and it's 100 degrees out, but I gotta get this job done. We got a layer of roving and we got a layer of 1708. That's more than enough for this job. All right, and now all I did now was just come over with a layer of wax gel coat just to kind of harden this up and get it ready for fairing and get it nice and smooth. So we're gonna let this cure up. Gel coat acts as a pretty good fairing compound. It's very, very hard. So we just want this to cure up and kind of like sand it, give it a nice sand, and then come in. You'll see that it's a little bit like a dip there. We'll fill that with some fairing putty, and then we'll get the Nonskid on there that we took a mold of. So that's that. We're gonna sand down the edges, make it nice and smooth. Take off the Nonskid like here. And sand it down that first layer of gel coat. Alright, so we got everything sanded on the edges and we made a nice edge. Now we're going to come in with the fairing compound, got the super polyfill. We're just going to fair this whole thing, make it nice and smooth. We'll come in with that. Alright. That's all nice and filled out. Now we're going to sand that one more time. Give it a nice sand. And then we'll shoot some gel coat in there. Once we shoot the gel coat, then we're going to lay down the Nonskid. We got a first layer of non-wax gel coat, and the mold will go right on top of this. Alright, so we have our mold that I've cut out of the big piece, which is a mold of this. And as you can see, the original part that we got the mold off was not very good. But I got one of the quadrants off, which is this guy here. And this one came out pretty good. There's still some imperfections that are in the actual piece. So it just is what it is. I know you can buy these panels, but they're expensive and the customer's not going to want to go as far as, you know, buying a brand new panel and all that. It can get expensive. So we're just going to get a mold out of this and make it look as close as factory as possible. So this is the mold release that I'm using from FGCI, and it comes with this sponge. So basically you're just going to come in, round motions, make sure you get every spot. We'll do 2 coats of that and leave it out and then wipe it down. So basically what I'm going to do is going to leave that space in the middle open as a big strip of just clear gel coat, because the leaning post is going to go there anyway. So the Nonskid is going to come up to back here, and then all this will get sanded and matched to the original gel coat here. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take this mold off, I'm going to wipe this down with some acetone, and I'm going to do each quadrant at a time. So let's do that, and hopefully this works. Hopefully this comes out good. Alright, we're going to start up here, and I'm going to grab a brush, and I'm just going to brush on a thick layer. And now we're going to put some weight on it. Alright, we got the first one down. We got a lot of pressure on the mold, holding that down because the floor is kind of curved. Alright, it's been 2 hours. I'm going to start taking the bricks off. Weights. not enough. Alright, so I have glued down the 4 different pieces of Nonskid that we pulled off our mold. I have a little corner that's coming up there, so I stuffed that with some gel coat. Basically, I couldn't film because I was working here by myself. My dad was helping me and stuff, but we just had to get this done. Basically, we pulled the piece off of the mold. We grabbed that piece, which is gel coat and matte, and I used a Boatyard resin. We wiped down the deck with some acetone, and then we used gel coat to glue the piece onto the deck, and now we have our Nonskid on the deck. So I've added PVA to kind of cure everything, because we're going to come in now and sand everything nice and smooth, get on all the edges, and we're going to actually come in and sand the edges here as well to kind of blend it in to the actual deck. So that's the next thing we're going to do. And then the last thing is we're going to come in and shoot a nice clean layer of gel coat and be done with this project. So we're going to let this cure off, this PVA, so we can come in, wash it off, and start sanding. All right, so what you see here is I came in with some polyfill compound and just kind of gave it a radius there, kind of smooth things out so it's a nice and easy transition. You guys can see that there. What I'm going to do tomorrow, there's a big pie hole. One of those is going to go right here in the center. Tomorrow we're going to tape everything up. We're going to sand it one last time, and we're going to spray everything and tape up the Nonskid here to the exact form that we want it, and we'll be done. This was a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be, but it's just a matter of getting your reps in, and I think I did a pretty good job for the first time, and I hope the client's going to like it. So, all right, we've taped everything up. I'm going to do the final coat of gel coat. I'm going to spray it. Now we're just going to let it cure. I'm going to come in and maybe sand a little bit and get it nice and polished up. Alrighty, so I came in and did a light coat of Duratech with 50/50 gel coat, and as you can see, that's the result that we got. It looks fantastic. The Nonskid mold was kind of a pain. It's my first time doing it. I think I'll do a little bit something different next time. I'll probably end up doing instead of 1.5 ounce mat, maybe a 3/4 ounce mat. That'll probably work better, just because it makes the mold too thick. Overall, this job was a little bit more difficult than I anticipated. It's just a lot of steps, but I think it came out really good, and the client looks like he's really happy with it. So he's actually here to pick it up now. So he's gonna put the leaning post on once all that is cured. He's gonna do that himself with some 5200. And that's basically it. So if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you've done this project before, let me know and how you did it. If you got any tips, I'd appreciate it. So I'll see you on the next one.